Alright, this is LetsRun.com here with U.S. mountain running champion Sage Canaday, and also former Hanson Brooks distance runner. Sage, you recently won the U.S. the U.S. mountain running championships, and you did it kind of without any prior mountain running experience. You'd always been, a road runner, a marathoner. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you've made this switch recently to mountain races and ultra races and kind of trail type things?
Oh yeah, quarter life crisis is what I'd say. I got tired of running around circles on the track. Really, I'm more of a slow twitch guy, so I don't have a whole lot of speed for that. And basically, I had a mental breakdown after the trials, and I went on an all beer diet for a couple weeks, kind of just fasting, and I saw clarity that way. You really see clarity when you don't eat food for a couple weeks, and I was like, you know what? I should try natural running on natural surfaces over hills, and just put the fun back in running. So that's kind of why I made the move.
And you won the U.S. mountain running championships in your first mountain race. Did you know you were going to be that good at it? Like, did you know, like, oh yeah, I'm really good at running uphill, or was it kind of a big surprise to you?
Oh, it was a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it was. I think I got lucky with my biomechanics a little bit, just because at the Mount Washington road race, it's like a 12% average grade, and it's really steep. Like, it's nothing you could really prepare for that much, or at least expect it if you haven't done it before. So that was a pleasant surprise. I was just hoping to get top 6 there and qualify for the team. So it's not like I have a high VO2 max or anything like that.
Now, qualify for the team. This is the world mountain running championships.
Yeah, the U.S. mountain running team. We're going over to Italy for the mountain running championships later this fall. So
that was the main goal, to make it to that.
Yeah, to qualify for the team. So
okay. The past World Mountain Running Championship, Max King, did you get any advice from him? He's also a former Cornell alum like you. Did you get any advice from him going into that, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've hung out with Max. I got to hang out with him that race because we had the same host family. So he's always been one of my mentors, one of my idols. That, I mean, if I can be 2/3 of the man that Max King, of the runner that Max King is, I'd die a happy runner. So he's always an inspiration. Knowing how tough Max is, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's totally insane. He pinned a race bib to his bare chest, like the pins went through his skin. So you're dealing with that kind of mentality. So knowing how tough he was, I've kind of followed him, into the trail scene, into the mountain running scene as well. He's a good example of someone who could compete well in the shorter, faster events and on the road and in these longer events. Kind
of talking about, maybe what some people, outside the trail running scene think of trail running. Like, what would you say to those people that kind of say you're almost, I don't want to say ducking the competition almost, but, you're kind of getting away from, what the top elites in the world are doing, and you're kind of going off. I mean, what would you respond to that? Do you have any response to that?
Go out and try it. That's the first thing I say. It is a totally different type of running, really. So for some people, it takes a totally different skill set. But I mean, the same fundamental principles of running through pain, being aerobically fit come into play. So I definitely I want to return to the marathon on the roads. I'm not done racing there. People think you're sacrificing all your speed for these longer ultra events. I think you're just building strength, and really, at least in my experience in the marathon on the roads, I need more strength to hold on. So, when you hit the wall, it gets tough, and that's how it is for all these races. So I tell them to try it out.
So you think long term maybe these races actually help your road marathon too?
That's what I'm hoping. It seems to work well for Max. He just jumped down to the 3K steeplechase. I couldn't do anything that extreme, but definitely try to help the road marathon time come down and compete in the Olympic trials in 2016 as well.
Would you consider, like, how much is mountain running and trail running and ultras also, how much is like the same sport as regular marathoning or track running? Like, would you say the move to the mountain running is almost like you're moving to a different sport, or is it kind of like equivalent to like a 1,500 or miler guy moving up to a 5K or 10K?
It depends on the distance, and it depends on the course, because a lot of courses there's a lot of variation with the elevation and the terrain. So if you're moving to a really technical trail in tough conditions and you're doing a 100-mile race, yeah, it's probably quite different. I haven't gone that far yet, but I can imagine it's quite different. And the net uphill races are quite a bit different from running a road marathon or half marathon of comparable time. But I mean, you're fighting through pain, you're fighting through fatigue. You have to push yourself, you have to pace yourself. So that's still the same. And a lot of runners, I think, if you have a good aerobic base under you, you could surprise yourself on the trails, but you could also fall and get 5 stitches like I did in my first trail race. So
that was in your first ultra, right?
yeah, I did the Chucking Up 50K in March, and I fell and I busted my knee open on rocks and got 5 stitches, and that put me out for a couple weeks. So
how'd you do in the race though? You still finished, right?
Yeah, I was second overall.
All right, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Getting 5 stitches.
Max King also got lost, but that's another story altogether.
All right. So you were just talking about kind of how they're different sports or the same. How's your training at this point different than when you were just doing strictly marathon training? And basically how do you prepare for that? Like, you obviously didn't have experience with this before. Like, did you know how to train yourself for that, or what do you do differently?
Lots of meditation. Like I mentioned my beer fast before. No, but really you gotta get on the trails, put time in on your feet. That's the main thing. And being here in Boulder is great because you got so many different trails and so many mountains to climb. And marathon training in the Hansons was a little bit different from marathon training I did before. Like, we topped out our long runs at 20 miles, and now you obviously have to go farther than that. I've done a 28-mile long run. The 50K was a 31-mile race. After I got lost, it was 32 miles. But definitely, you focus more on putting time on your feet, less on intensity. I haven't touched the track, but I still like to push myself, doing some strides and uphill work, so I don't totally lose all my speed. But a lot of aerobic conditioning, basically, a lot of base. Okay.
And as far as actually the races themselves go, how does that compare to a normal race? I know probably a lot of people at home. I know I have. You do mountain runs, and I couldn't imagine actually racing one. It's kind of like you kind of start off and 3 minutes in, you're kind of already dead. How do you pace yourself for that? Like, how does the race compare to like a 10K on the track or a marathon on the road?
Well, there's the fueling issue. You got to have fuel. You got to take in calories during the run, especially for these longer races. So you got to decide what pizza you want to be able to order. What gives you roadside delivery out on the course in these extreme environments. So you got to figure out what works best for you. How much you could eat without throwing up, because you're running hard, but you want to take in these calories. You got to stay hydrated. Some guys drink straight Coke. But I like to mix it up with some Gatorade and gels as well, the pizza, of course.
But so you'd say that's more important in the mountain running and the trail and the ultra runners than as far as compared to the marathon? It's more essential.
Especially in the ultras, depending on the distance and how long you're running, it becomes magnified. Like, you hit the wall in a marathon, you could suffer through the last 10K. You hit the wall in the ultra, you might have 10 or 20 miles to go, and you're just hanging out there. So if it's adverse weather conditions, you could really mess yourself up. So you got to stay on top of that.
So we're in Boulder, Colorado, as you mentioned. You can see the mountains in the background here. Is the altitude training, is that also very important, or did you come mostly here for the mountains? Like, compared to, you could have gone to Flagstaff, you could have gone to Albuquerque. Why Boulder, and why altitude now versus when you're doing marathon training?
Oh yeah, altitude's something I've always really wanted to try. So that's part of the reason I came here. I also have a lot of family in the Denver area, so a good support system there. I pretty much owe everything to the support of my family, so thanks, Mom and Dad. And on that note, they also went to school here at CU, so I'm kind of a legacy here if I go back to grad school. So I really like the town, the atmosphere, and obviously the mountains are a huge plus, so that's why I picked Boulder.
All right. And so we've also talked about you're a former Hanson Brooks runner. Now that, first of all, can you talk a little about why you left the group, and then now that you're outside the group, maybe like the pros and cons of being on your own, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to find out my whole opinion on the program, you can check out my book, Running for the Hansons. It's available on Amazon.com, also in the ebook Kindle form there, or you can get a signed copy from my website, vo2maxproductions.com. But really, no, it was a great experience out of college. I really couldn't have asked for anything more. The support there is great. It's one of my dreams since high school to be able to run there, and I was lucky enough to train with Brian Sell, Mike Morgan, Luke Humphrey, Clint Varon, a lot of those older guys on the team, and now Desiree. So it was a great experience. But after 2.5 years there, after the trials, I really did want to try some other types of training. Like I mentioned before, my long run topped out at 20 miles there, and I really thought I should maybe try doing a longer long run, even just for marathon training. So I've been coaching myself ever since then. That was February of this year, so I've had a lot more flexibility. I could race more frequently now, which I really enjoy. and try some of these longer races, longer long runs. So that's the main difference.
So yeah, stuff you couldn't do when you're under a stricter schedule and
yeah,
kind of part
exactly.
of a team group.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, and as far as, obviously the group, you said they offered you a lot of support, and now you're kind of without that support. Can you talk a little about that and what you do as far as, like, how do you make money now? How do you live?
The frugal, simple lifestyle, really. I sleep on a cot. I don't even have a mattress. Yeah, I mean, you've seen how bare my room is, but it's, I mean, living the dream, so it's really important to be happy. But I do have some sponsors now that I'm proud to plug and announce here. Smith Optics, they make really nice eyewear. This is also casual wear. This is the Lockwood. So Smith Optics sunglasses, very cool. And I got now Drymax socks, which you could see I have on, the
Okay.
trail sock version here. So I do have some product support. In terms of shoe and apparel gear, I am a free agent. I'm just going to throw that out there. So
All right, any potential sponsors watching this?
Yeah, and the book helps me out a lot. VO2 Max Productions videos as well. So
Just kind of make it by on that.
yeah,
kind of
every time I toe the starting line now, I do think about prize money. They say you shouldn't be motivated by that, but it's a huge motivator. And there's some pressure there. It's like, how am I going to pay rent this month? Well, I got to win this race.
You got to win this race. I mean, that's kind of some people credit that to why the Kenyans are so good. They're they're not just out there running because they love it. They're doing it also. That's how they make their living. If they don't win, they don't eat, and that's kind of part of it.
Exactly, and I think my parents are my biggest sponsors too. So it's nice to have that support too.
Okay, and so just looking ahead here, obviously you have the World Mountain Running Championships coming up, but you talked about an eventual return to the road, to the marathon. I guess, when do you think that might happen, and any plans on that, or just kind of taking it as it goes?
I'll take it as it goes, mainly. Probably do a road marathon next year. I could even jump in some road marathons kind of more as long training runs, I figure. It's always fun to just kind of get out there and practice getting in your fluids with some crowd support and competition. So I don't have any plan for the rest of this year, but definitely next year I'd like to go out and compete and eventually try to crack that 2:15 barrier. I know that's not very fast on the world scene, but for me that would be a big accomplishment. So I'm looking forward to trying to do that and qualify for the 2016 trials.
Okay. And just talking about that, you're trying to break 2:15. You're already the U.S. mountain running champion. As far as we talked about finances and making a future out of this. Where's the future in that? Like, you can either be the best in the mountain running scene, which obviously is, the competition isn't quite the same, the money available, the prize money isn't quite the same, or you could be, 2:15 marathoner where, obviously you're still very competitive, but you're a long way from 2:04 or 2:03 like some of these top guys. So where do you see the future for you personally? Where do you think your best shot, I guess, made to make it in this? Or
probably in the trail running, ultra mountain running scene. It's also what I enjoy more now. I think it's more like natural running, and it's really more exciting for me. I mean, growing up in the backwoods of Oregon, like Max King, that's all you have to do is run on muddy trails. I mean, what do you think we do out there in Oregon? So I definitely feel more at home doing that. And in terms of finances, I think it pays out better actually. When I ran my PR 2:16.52 on the roads, I got $0. So that was a tough race for me, and the payout from that wasn't as good. So hopefully I could continue doing kind of both to make ends meet and keep plugging away. It's more, you do it for self-satisfaction and just part of the goal-setting process. You got to enjoy the process too. So it's kind of just part of living a healthy and happy lifestyle.
All right. Well, that's all I have, Sage. Anything else you want to add here at the end, or?
Coverage from LetsRun.com has been very good this year. I was really impressed with the trials.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
We owe a lot to the people behind the scenes. Shout out to Rojo, my college coach. He's always there supporting me in college and beyond, so it's good to see.
All right. Thanks, Rojo. All right, this is LetsRun.com signing off. Good luck with everything, Sage.